Hello dear first year students, welcome to the course of Phonetics presented by Mr. Aunali Walid and Mrs. Bogufa Zainab. The main goal of teaching English phonetics and phonology is to improve students' pronunciation. As you know, English pronunciation is difficult because there is no consistency between what is written and what is spoken. This is why most students make mistakes when they speak English. Sometimes they pronounce words like when they are spoken in French, especially when the words are not familiar. This is why we teach phonetics in order to improve students' pronunciation through introducing the IPA or the International Phonetic Alphabet in order to get the correct pronunciation of words without finding any difficulty in pronunciation. In the previous two courses, we have introduced phonetics as branch of linguistics deals with the human sound making, its description, analysis, and transcription. And we have introduced the three branches of phonetics. The articulatory phonetics deals with speech organs and the function of each organ in speech production. Acoustic phonetics deals with the sound waves and what happens in the air between the speaker and listener. Auditory phonetics studies what happens in the mind of the listener and how the message is decoded in the brain. In the second course, which gives more details about articulatory phonetics, in which we have introduced in details all the speech organs and their function in speech. So now we have an idea about phonetics and speech organs. Afterwards, we have introduced in details the vowel sounds. The description of articulation of vowel sounds in details. Using the vowel chart, we can describe the vowels in terms of tongue position and tongue height. We have also talked about duration. We have certain vowels that are long vowels and we have another vowels which are short. So in English we have 44 sounds or phonemes, 20 vowel sounds and 24 consonant sounds. 12 are the monophthongs, in which we can find 7 short vowels and 5 long ones, and 8 diphthongs, 5 closing diphthongs and 3 centering ones. We have another category of vowels in which they are considered as 2 syllables, not one, which are called triphthongs, that are composed of the 5 closing diphthongs plus schwa at the end. You must bear in mind that vowels are very important in pronunciation and in transcription. You must memorize all the symbols of vowels and their transcription in order to improve your pronunciation, and how to read phonetic symbols from dictionary when you come across a new word that you don't know its pronunciation. In the present course, we are going to introduce English consonants in details. In the description of consonants, you need to know all the speech organs, because in description of articulation of consonants, all the time we go back to the speech organs in order to describe the consonants in details. The main objectives of the current course is to define English consonants, recognize the different manners of articulation for consonants, know the place of articulation of the different English consonantal sounds, identify each consonant using description of articulation and example words, use authentic audios and videos for listening and repeating to English consonants, pronounce vowels and consonants in several words and utterances with correct pronunciation. The following figure shows the place of articulation of consonants. So, for number 1, we have both lips. The upper lip and lower lip can produce different consonants. We can find m, w, p, b. 4 consonants that are produced using both lips, and it is called bilabial. Second, we have the lower lip and upper teeth. In this case, we produce f, v using lower lip and upper teeth. Number 3, we have both upper and lower teeth can produce dental consonants, th and the. Number 4, we have tip of the tongue with alveolar ridge. We produce alveolar consonant like in t, d, s, z, n, l, r. Number 5, we can produce in the palate with body of the tongue the palatal sounds like in y. Number 6, we have back of the tongue can touch the velum to produce the velar sounds k, g, and ny or ing. Number 7, the root of the mouth can touch the uvula to produce uvular sounds, but in English we don't have any uvular sound. Number 8, the glottis. The glottis can stop the air or narrow to produce certain sounds like the glottal stop or it is narrowed for the glottal sound h. Nasal cavity. In the nasal cavity we produce nasal sounds like m, n, ny. In figure number 2, we represent the different places and manners of articulation for consonants. With both lips, we have bilabial. With upper and lower teeth, we have dental. From the nose and nasal cavity, we produce nasal sounds like m, n, ny. Labiodental sounds are produced with lower lip and upper teeth. With the tip of the tongue and alveolar ridge, we produce alveolar sounds. The place between alveolar ridge and hard palate, we get palato-alveolar, in which we produce certain consonants like sh, j, ch, and j. In the hard palate with the dorsum of the tongue, we produce y. With back of the tongue and the soft palate, we produce velar sounds like in k, g, and y. In the pharynx, we produce only one consonant that is not found in English. It is found in other languages like German and Arabic, х sound. In the larynx, we produce certain consonants like in Arabic, q or ع. Both sounds are produced in the larynx and they are called laryngeal, but they are not found in English. These are the articulators and their place of articulation, manner of articulation. Let's explain more how can we produce consonants in terms of place of articulation. In this figure, we show how the consonants are produced in the vocal tract above the larynx. In the vocal tract, we produce air when it is pushed out of the lungs. Then it reaches vocal cords. The vocal cords may vibrate or not. Afterwards, in the vocal tract, we have a constriction is made, or we have narrowing or blockage of the air. Either the air is blocked completely or partially. Afterwards, the place of articulation or the organs of speech can produce. In the bilabial consonants, we produce consonants by bringing both lips together to produce p, b, m, w. We have four consonants which are called bilabial. Four labiodental consonants are made with lower lip against the upper front teeth to produce f, v. Interdental or dental consonants are made with tip of the tongue between upper and lower teeth. In this case, we produce two consonants which are th and the. Alveolar consonants are made with tongue near the alveolar ridge. In this case, we produce many consonants like t, d, s, z, n, l, and even r is called sometimes alveolar, but in certain books it is called post-alveolar. Palatal consonants are made with tongue dorsum or body of the tongue near the hard palate. In this case, we produce only one consonant in English, which is y. Velar consonants are produced behind the hard palate. That is, back of the tongue will touch the soft palate or the velum. In this case, we produce three consonants, k, g, and ng. Glottal consonants are made at the larynx and specifically in the glottis. We produce glottal sounds like h when we narrow the path of the air, and the glottal stop, which is a, like in w. Now we move to the manner of articulation. In manner of articulation, we talk about how the consonants are produced, or the way how we produce those consonants. So we produce consonants as follows. Manner of articulation produces first stops consonants or plosives consonants are made by complete obstruction of the airstream. That is, in plosives or stops, we stop the air completely or we block the air completely, then we push out the air, then we release the air rapidly and abruptly like an explosion. This is why they are called plosives. We have p, b, t, d, k, and g. These are the plosives. You have three voiceless plosives and three voiced plosives. All in all, we get 6 plosives. Fricatives. Fricatives are made by nearly complete obstruction of the airflow, or it is called partial closure of the vocal tract. We stop the air partially, not completely, like in the following consonants. We have sh and j, f and v, th and the, s and z, and h. Nasal consonants are produced by lowering the velum, or the soft palate could be raised or lowered. It is raised in all the vowel sounds and the nasal cavity will shut off, and it is lowered only in case we produce 3 nasal sounds, in which we open the nasal passage, then connects to the vocal tract, is caused at the modification of the airstream, in which we release the air from the nose like in m, n, and ng. In those nasal sounds, we stop the air completely from the mouth and all the air will be pushed out from the nose because soft palate is lowered. This is why we call them nasal sounds, because the air is released from the nose or the nasal cavity, not the mouth cavity. And the rest of the consonants are called oral because they are produced from oral cavity, like vowels and most of the consonants. Liquid consonants are made by not narrow enough constriction of the vocal tract. They are called liquid because the air is passing through both edges of the tongue, like in producing l and r. Glide consonants are made with a slight closure of the vocal tract. They look like the gliding vowels are diphthongs in which you have movement from one place to another one. The same when you produce y and w. Sometimes they are called semi-vowels because they look like vowels. The different place of articulation. The place of articulation classifies speech sounds in terms of their articulation in the vocal tract. In this section, we will present the main place of articulation of English consonants as follows. First, we start with bilabial. Bilabial sounds are made by placing the lips against each other. Examples of such sounds in English: p, b, m, and w. The sound p is voiceless, like in pay, but it is voiced in b and m and w. We have bay, may, way. As you can see in the figure, we show that both lips contact each other or they stop the air either completely or partially. In p and b, we stop the air completely. In m and w, we stop the air partially. Labiodental sounds are made when the lower lip is raised towards the upper front teeth. Examples of such consonantal sounds are f, like in safe, which is voiceless, and v, which is voiced like in save. Dental. The dental sounds are produced by touching the upper front teeth with the tip of the tongue. Examples of such sounds like in th, which is voiceless, like in oath, and the, which is voiced like in clothe. You must notice that in clothe, it is a verb. When you have the word as a noun, it is pronounced as cloth, with the, not the. The same for bath and bathe. Bath as a noun, bathe as a verb. Alveolar sounds are made by raising the tip of the tongue towards the ridge that is right behind the upper front teeth, which is called the alveolar ridge. Examples of such sounds are t and ts, like in tu and tu. Both are voiceless. D, z, n, l, and even r, which are voiced, like in do, zoo, no, look, rook, which are all voiced, that is, they are produced with a vibration in the vocal cords. Palato-Alveolar. Palato-Alveolar sounds are made by raising the blade of the tongue towards the part of the palate just behind the alveolar ridge. Examples of such consonantal sounds are sh and ch, like in pressure and batch. Both are voiceless. And j and j, like in pleasure and badge. Both are voiced, that is, they are produced with vibration in the vocal cords. Palatal. Palatal sounds are very similar to the palato-alveolar ones. They are just produced further back towards the velum. The only palatal sound in English is y, as in yes, yellow, beauty, new, and it is voice that is produced with the vibration in the vocal cords. Velar sounds are made by raising the back of the tongue towards the soft palate, called the velum or soft palate. Examples of such sounds like in k, like in back, which is voiceless, that is produced without vibration in the vocal cords, and g and ny, and both are voiced, like in bag and bank. Glottal. Glottal sounds are produced when the air passes through the glottis as it is narrowed. Examples of sounds are h, as in high, or by stopping the air completely at the glottis, like in the glottal stop, like in what. Now we move to another feature in which we use it for description of consonants, which is called manner of articulation. The manner of articulation has to do with the kind of air obstruction after it has passed the vocal tract. It may meet complete closure, like in plosives, in which we stop the air completely. The plosives are the consonants that are produced with blocking the air completely through 3 stages. The first stage is stopping the air inside the vocal tract, inside the mouth. The second stage is compression stage. We compress the air inside the mouth. We pump more air from the lungs to the vocal tract. At the same time, the air is blocked. Then the release stage is releasing or opening the passage for the air rapidly and abruptly as an explosive air stream. We have 3 places for the articulation of plosive consonants. For p and b, we stop the air completely using the lips. For t and d, we stop the air completely in the alveolar ridge. For k and g, we stop the air completely with back of the tongue and the velum or the soft palate, and they are called velar sounds. Then we have the fricatives, in which they are produced with almost complete closure, or it is called partial closure. We stop the air partially, not completely, like in plosives. That is, we let the air to pass from small passage with friction, احتكاك, or small degree of closure. In this case, we have many consonants that are produced as fricatives, like f and v, sh and j, s and z, th and the, and the last one, h sound. All these are produced when we narrow the passage for the air, that is, the air is partially blocked, not completely blocked. As a combination of a plosive plus fricative, at the same time we get affricatives or affricates. This kind of consonants is produced with two phases or stages. The first stage, like plosives, in which we stop the air completely, but we don't release the air like plosive, but we release the air like fricative. So we have the first stage looks like plosives, the second stage looks like fricatives, and in this case we get ch and j, or through the nasal cavity by lowering the soft palate. When we lower the soft palate, the air will escape from the nasal cavity, not the oral cavity, and in this case we produce m, n, and y. Approximants are the consonantal sounds that look like vowels in their articulation, like the glides, which are w and y, which look like vowels, and the liquids l and r. Those consonants are produced differently from the previous consonant, or the air might escape from an exceptional ways around both sides of the tongue, like lateral. That is, in lateral way, totally, we produce those consonants like in l and r. As a summary of the places and manners of articulation, we get the IPA table of the consonantal phonemes of English language. So, the IPA table represents the different places and manners of articulation of consonants. For different places, we get bilabial for p and b, labiodental for f and v, dental for th and th, alveolar for t, d, s, z, n, and l, post-alveolar for r, palato-alveolar for sh and j, ch and j, velar for k and g and ny, and glottal for h. Then vertically we get the different manners of articulation. For plosives we get p and b, t and d, k and g. Fricatives we have f and v, th and the, s and z, sh and j and h. Affricates we get only two consonants, which are ch and j. All those consonants, plosives, fricatives, and affricates, are categorized as A, in which they are the consonants that are produced with a high degree of obstruction, and they are called in phonetics obstruents. The second category, B, which are called sonorants. They are called sonorants because they are produced with a high degree of sonority, ranin. We have nasals, in which the air escapes from the nasal cavity or from the nose when we lower soft palate, like when we produce m, n, and ny. For lateral consonants are produced from both sides of the tongue, like in L, and for approximants, in which they are produced approximately like vowels or semivowels, like in w, r, and y. Now we come to the description of articulation of English consonants in details. In the identification of the consonants p and b, we describe both p and b with the same description because they are different only in one feature, which is voicing or vibration in the vocal cords. For p, there is no vibration in the vocal cords. For b, we have vibration in the vocal cords, and they are described as follows. Those two bilabial sounds are made with a total closure using the lips. The soft palate is raised to stop the air from escaping through the nasal cavity. So this is an oral sound, not a nasal sound. B is unvoiced or voiceless, and fortis, B is voiced and linis, like in pay and buy. We have another term which is fortis and linis. Fortis and linis stands for force of articulation. That is, P and B are different in another feature which is called force of articulation. That is, P is produced with more force since it is produced without vibration in the vocal cords. When we have no vibration in the vocal cords, it is fortis. Linis are the consonants that are produced with less force and with a vibration in the vocal cords. So all the voiced consonants that share the same place and manner of articulation are produced as linis. Task: pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. For consonant P, like in pack, pan, copy, happen, hop, pop. for back, bag, hobby, habit, job, bob. Memory pairs are two words that are pronounced the same but they are different only in one sound. Either it is a vowel or consonant with the same order. Either the first consonant is different, the second, third, and so on and so forth. We have back, pack, the difference in the first consonant. Bear, pair, cab, cap, symbol, simple, punch, bunch. Identification of consonants k and g. Those two velar sounds are made with the total closure, that is, we stop the r completely since they are plosives, using back of the tongue against the soft palate. Then suddenly release the r. The r is released rapidly. K is unvoiced and fortis, that is produced without vibration in the vocal cords and produced with more force than g. It is fortis because it's produced as strong articulation or with force. G is voiced and lineous, that is, it is produced with vibration in the vocal cords and produced with less force. This is why it is called lineous. Like in can and guess. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. K, like in came, lucky, sick, clock. G, like in glue, struggle, bug, gig. Minor pairs. Minor pairs are the words that are different in one sound, that either it is a vowel or consonant, like in glue, clue, ghost, coast, log, lock, big, pick, came, game, back, bag, cage, gauge, calories, galleries. Identification of the consonants t and d. Those two alveolar sounds are made with a total closure. We are still talking about plosives, in which we stop the air completely using the tongue blade against the alveolar ridge. So this is an alveolar sound. Soft palate is raised to stop air from going to the nasal cavity. So this is an oral sound, not a nasal sound. T is unvoiced or voiceless and fortis, that is produced without vibration in the vocal cords with more force. D is voiced and lineous, that is produced with vibration in the vocal cords with less force, like in tie and do. Task. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. T, tin, button, get, tight, tell. D, dame, ladder. Memory pairs that are different in only one consonant. Tin, din, to, do, town, down, eight, aid, bet, bed, tame, dame, doom, tomb, medal, metal, herd, hurt. Identification of the consonants f and v. Labiodental sounds are made with a partial closure. So this is a fricative, in which we stop the air partially, not completely, in which an audible friction is heard. That is, when we block the air partially, we have a friction between articulators or the organs of speech. They are articulated with the front of the tongue against the lower lip to produce f, which is unvoiced and fortis. V is voiced and lineous, like in fit and vice. Task. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. F, fat, coffee, rough, fluff. V, very, heavy, move, verve. Memory pairs. Vault, fault. Believe, belief. Live, life. Fun, van. Leaf, leave. Off, of. Rifle, rival. Very, bury. Vet, bet. Vote, boat. Vowel, bowel. Identification of the consonants th and the. Th and the are dental sounds because they are produced when we insert the tip of the tongue between both upper and lower teeth, which are made with a partial closure or narrow opening using the upper front teeth against tongue tip. The soft palate is raised. The consonant th is voiceless and fortis. The is voiced and lineous, like in thin, that. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. Th, thin, throw, thumb, author, healthy, birth, path. The, then, this, there, that, other, smooth, not smooth. Identification of the consonants s and z. Those alveolar sounds are made with a partial closure, that is, they are fricatives. That is, they are fricatives because we do not stop the air completely but partially. The soft palate is raised to stop the air from going through nasal cavity. The tip of the tongue contacts alveolar ridge. This is why it is called alveolar sound. S sound is voiceless and fortis, that is produced without vibration in the vocal cords and with more force. Z is voiced and linus, that is produced with vibration in the vocal cords with less force, like in see, zoo. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. S, soon, Mr., his, sees. Z, zero, music, buzz, roses. We have many pairs in which one sound is different, like in buzz, bass, rice, rise, rice, zip, sip, lazy, lacy, his, hiss, cause, course, plays, place, grows, gross, not gross. Identification of the consonants sh and j. Fricative consonants are formed by narrowing of the air passage, then the air escapes, making a kind of hissing sound. Fricative consonants are formed by a narrowing of the air passage, then the air escapes, making a kind of hissing sound with an audible friction. The blade of the tongue contacts the palato-alveolar slightly. The soft palate is raised. Sh is unvoiced and fortis. J is voiced and linus, like in shake, beige, not beige, like in French. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. Sh, ship, shua, nation, fish, shush. J, leisure, pleasure, vision, beige. Mineral pairs in which we have one sound is different. Ship, sip, show, so, shy, sigh, chauffeur, sofa, shock, sock. Identification of the consonants ch and j. The English affricative sounds ch and j are described as transition from the plosive t and d into the fricatives sh and j rapidly to get one phoneme. That is, when we produce affricative sounds, we have a combination of plosive at the beginning and fricative at the end rapidly to get one phoneme. Ch is voiceless and fortis, that is produced with more force than j. J is voiced and linus, that is, it is weaker in articulation than ch, like in chief and jack. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. Ch, choke, teacher, match, church. J, judge, joke, lodger, bridge. Mineral pairs. Choke, joke, trunk, junk, rich, ridge, lunch, lunge, surge, search. In the previous description of consonants, we have described two consonants with the same description because they share the same place and manner of articulation, and we have mentioned a term which is fortis and linus because each pair of consonants is different from the other one in force of articulation. In the following descriptions, we are not going to mention fortis and linus because for each consonant we have a separate description as follows. Identification of the consonant h. This consonant is articulated with the narrowing of the airflow in glottis. It is kind of breathing out with an audible friction in the vocal cords. H is voiceless when produced alone, but voiced when followed by a vowel. Example words: heat, who, perhaps, and here. Task: pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. H, here, ahead, hot, hello, height, hedge, how. Identification of the consonant m. In the nasal consonants, the air escapes through the nose. To do this, the soft palate is lowered, as you can see in the figure, to let air go to nasal cavity. M is articulated with closed lips, that is bilabial using both lips. Then air goes through nasal cavity. M is voiced like in mic. Task: pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. M, more, hammer, some, mime. Mineral pairs. Some, sung, sun, rum. run, rung. Identification of the consonant n. In the nasal sound n, the volume is lowered so that the air can escape through the nasal cavity. N is articulated with the tongue tip pressing the alveolar ridge. N is voiced like in Nile, snow, fallen, none. Pronounce the following words. Listen, repeat. Nice, sun, funny, none. Mirror pairs. Sun, sung, pin, ping, run, rung, thin, thing, wind, winged. Identification of the consonant ny or ing. This voiced nasal sound is made with the back of the tongue against vellum, like in ring, link, singer, hunger, and hunger. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. Unga, thanks. Rung, king. Mirror pairs. Run, rung. Ton, tongue. Wing, wing. Robin, robbing. Sinner, singer. Identification of the consonant L. This voiced alveolar lateral consonant is articulated with the tongue center and the alveolar ridge, in which the air flows around both sides of the tongue. There are two types of the laterals. The clear L, which is voiced alveolar lateral like in let, wallet, elite. We find the clear L at the beginning of the word or in the middle between two vowels. The dark L is voiced velar lateral, that is the place changes from alveolar to velar, which is in the back of the mouth, like in well, milk, little. We find the dark L mostly in final position of the word or between a vowel, then L, then a consonant. Pronounce the following words. Light, valley, bell, level, let, tell, leaf, feel, loaf, fowl, lute, tool, pal, pill, mile. Mirror pairs. Light, right, lead, red, clash, crash, climb, crime, lice, rice, lock, rock. Identification of the consonant r. This post-alveolar consonant is pronounced with the articulators approach each other without a plosive or fricative sound as an approximant. The tip of the tongue approaches further back to the alveolar ridge somehow, like t and d. The lips are slightly round. R is voiced like in right, free, writer. Task. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. Right, wrong, sorry, range. Mirror pairs. Wrong, long, royal, loyal, misread, misled, pirate, pilot, pray, play. The pronunciation of R in British English after a vowel. The R is not pronounced in British English. Accent is called non-rhotic because the R is not pronounced after a vowel, like in car, card, boat, hear, and heard. The R is pronounced in British English only when it comes at the beginning of the word or between two vowels, like in this is my car, but my car is blue. So when the R between two vowels, it is pronounced. In American accent, the R is pronounced all the time and it is called the rhotic accent. Identification of the consonant W. This glide or semi-vowel is made like back close vowel U, but it is very short. This bilabial approximant is articulated with rounded lips, like in W. W and Y never occur in word final position. That is, at the end of the word, we do not find W and Y. We can find them written, but they are not pronounced as W and Y in final position. We have like in waste, require. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. Wet, when, one, beware, quick, queen. Mirror pairs. Wet, vet, worse, verse, while, vile. west, vest, very, very. Identification of the consonant Y. This glide or semivowel is made like front close vowel E, but it is pronounced very rapid. It is very short. This palatal approximant is articulated with the back of the tongue raised to the velum or soft palate. Y is voiced like in yes, tube, you. Pronounce the following words. Listen and repeat. Y, y. Yet, use or use. As a noun, it is pronounced use, yellow, useful, beauty, few, cute, accuse. In the following phonemic chart, we have a summary of all the consonants that we have introduced in this course, which are part of South British English or RP. These shaded boxes stand for voiced consonants, that is, the consonants that are produced with a vibration in the vocal cords. And the white colored boxes stand for the unvoiced consonants or voiceless consonants that are produced without vibration in the vocal cords. You must bear in mind that all vowels are voiced. The consonants that we have introduced are P, which is voiceless, fortis, bilabial, plosive consonant, like in pet, pop, lip, happy, people, peculiar, hippopotamus. B is voiced, lenis, bilabial, plosive consonant, like in baby, bin, bob, bonanza, brick, liberty, Barbados. T is voiceless, fortis, alveolar, plosive consonant, like in tea, tap, tree, trap, telemetry, Tom, Thomas. D is voiced, D is voiced, lenis, alveolar, plosive consonant, like in did, didn't, drive, road, middle. Ch is voiceless, fortis, palato-alveolar, affricate, like in chess, watch, child, stretch, beach, teach, literature. J is voiced, lenis, palato-alveolar, affricate consonant, like in jam, gym, bridge, edge, legend, George, vegetable. K is voiceless, fortis, velar, plosive, like in back, cook, crack, capitulate. G is voiced, lenis, velar, plosive, like in go, gift, great, giggle, glimmer. F is voiceless, fortis, labiodental, fricative consonant, like in if, fish, off, Philip, five, wife, philosophy. V is voiced, lenis, labiodental, fricative consonant, like in very, live, love, voice, over, wives, vegetable. Th is voiceless, fortis, dental, fricative consonant, like in think, three, theory, birthday, Thursday, thousand. The is voiced, lenis, dental, fricative consonant, like in the or the or they, this, that, these, mother, themselves. S is voiceless, fortis, alveolar, fricative consonant, like in sun, kiss, sucker, mist, kicks, stops, cats, costs, Mississippi. Z is voiced, lenis, alveolar, fricative consonant, like in zoo, zebra, please, easy, noses, zombie, cheese, sneeze, runs, plays. Sh is voiceless, fortis, palato-alveolar, fricative consonant, like in she or she, shoot, fish, ship, shy, fresh, sheep, splash, wash, ash, bishop. J is voiced, lenis, palato-alveolar, fricative consonant, like in pleasure, television, massage, usually, leisure, Asia. M is voiced bilabial nasal consonant like in me, lemon, home, camera, manipulate. N is voiced alveolar nasal consonant like in no, none, notorious, bone, no way. Ng or ny is voiced velar nasal consonant like in sing, ring, long, song, wrong, doing, living. H is voiceless glottal fricative consonant like in hello, happy, him, her, hectic, haha. L is voiced alveolar lateral approximant consonant like in leg, ill, live, alive, slow, lugubrious. R is voiced post-alveolar approximant consonant like in red, real, road, right, really, already, range. W is voiced bilabial glide or approximant like in we, when, what, sweltering. Y is voiced palatal glide or semivowel approximant consonant like in yes, yellow, yesterday, younger, music. Let's give more details about consonants and their pronunciation and transcription. We have some tips for phonetic transcription in order to help you how to transcribe certain consonants and how they are pronounced. For the letters C, it could be pronounced as S sound or K sound, which are both voiceless. For example, cedar, club, excess, account. So letter C could be transcribed and pronounced as S sound or K sound. CK, it is always pronounced as phoneme K, like in clock, pick, peacock. G could be pronounced as the phonemes G, J, and J, which are voiced or they are vibrating, like in get, ginger, age, beige. Q and U, mostly it's pronounced as Q, like in queen, quality, quit, quiet. The letter S could be pronounced as S, Z, or J in some words, like in sign, signal, basis, measure, please, realize, based, vision. TH could be pronounced as th or the, like in thigh, bath, thorough, there, thy, thee, bathe. SH, TI, and double SI sometimes are pronounced as sh, like in fish, station, expression, Russia. J, G, or DJ could be pronounced as J, like in judge, cage, wage, gadget, hedge. CH, TCH, and TU could be pronounced as the phoneme ch, like in teacher, butcher, nature, puncture. Y could be pronounced as a vowel like E when it is final, or as a consonant when it is not final, which is Y, like in yoke, yeah, yesterday, yeast, yawn, yield. R, it's pronounced as R, but sometimes it is not pronounced when it falls after a vowel in British accent. When it is between two vowels, it is pronounced, or when it is at the beginning of the word, like in real, create, clearing, fear, care, explore, wear, sphere. In RP, R is only pronounced and transcribed before a vowel or when being intervocalic, that is between two vowels. Tips for the pronunciation of the final S and ED. The pronunciation of regular plurals, genitive, and third person singular S when we add S at the end of those words. The S is pronounced as S sound after voiceless sounds or consonants. As we have seen in this course, the voiceless consonants are the consonants that are produced without vibration in the vocal cords. like in the words cats, tips, kicks, faults. It is pronounced as Z sound after all voiced sounds. The voiced sounds are all the vowels and some consonants, like we have seen in the previous figure that we have shown all the consonants whether they are voiced or voiceless, like in pens, cars, songs, vows. It is pronounced as is after sibilants. Sibilants are the consonants that are produced with the tip and blade of the tongue, like in s, z, sh, ch, j, and j. In all these 6 consonants, we pronounce the final s as is, like in bosses, fuzzes, dishes, boxes, judges, searches. The pronunciation of the regular verbs in the past and past participle when we add ed. The ed is pronounced as t after voiceless sound, which are the consonants that are produced without vibration in the vocal cords. It's pronounced as d after voiced sounds. The voiced sounds are all the vowels that are produced with vibration in the vocal cords and some consonants that we have seen in this course. It is pronounced as id after the consonants d or t. Let's practice more. Transcribe the following words in which you'll find the final s, the final ed, like in kicked, passed, skipped, finished, banned, and so on. Task 2. Write the spellings for the following transcribed words: that, however, etc. You finish the rest. Task number 3. Find the mistakes in the transcription of the following words: crime, wrestling, parking, etc. Task number 4. Transcribe the following words: allow, follow, book, why, sorrow, etc. Task 5. Transcribe the following words phonemically. Pay attention to word finals: spying, chewing, cried, fetched, lies, etc. Let's practice in pronunciation. Try to pronounce the following poem correctly. Listen to the poem and repeat in order to get the correct pronunciation of all the words in the poem.
I take it you already know of tough and bow and cough and dough. Others may stumble, but not you, on hiccup, thorough, slough, and through. Well done! And now you wish perhaps to learn of less familiar traps. Beware of herd, a dreadful word that looks like beard and sounds like bird, and dead is said like bed, not bead. For goodness' sake don't call it deed. Watch out for meat and great and threat, they rhyme with sweet and straight and debt. A moth is not a moth in mother, nor both in bother, or broth in brother, and here is not a match for there, nor dear and fear for bear and pear. And then there's doze and rose and lose, just look them up, and goose and choose, and cork and work and card and ward, and font and front and word and sword, and do and go and thwart and cart. Come, I've hardly made a start. A dreadful language, man alive! I learnt to speak it when I was 5, and yet to write it the more I sigh. I'll not learn how till the day I die.
Thank you so much for your attention. You can refer to the following references for more details. Stay safe. See you soon. Goodbye.